So my name is Victor Alvarez. I work in the GSDO program logistics office. I'm the logistics acquisition lead in that program office. So what that means is I'm in charge of trying to make sure that the supportability that we're developing for all of the new systems that GSDO is developing will properly support the GSDO program. So logistics in a whole for GSDO is trying to figure out what materials and training is required by the GSDO operators and the developers to make sure that the whole life cycle of the system is supported as best as we can with the lowest life cycle cost possible. Historically, logistics, the way NASA has done logistics. NASA logistics evolved from DoD logistics. In DoD logistics, the logistics involves not just the material and equipment, but also the people and the training that's required for those people, and then to meet all of the requirements that are needed for operations and development. So NASA logistics has evolved from there somewhat to only focus primarily on the materials and equipment, as well as the training curriculums and plans that are required then by the operators and the developers to make sure that they have all of the knowledge they need to be certified and qualified to meet all of the requirements. So that's what from the GSDO logistics perspective, then, that's what we focus on, is the material, equipment, and the training required for the personnel who need the training to be able to properly do their job. Logistics is essentially structured or set up to address two different functions, one strategic and one more tactical. From a strategic sense, it's planning and analysis, so it's developing all of the plans that are required to be able to properly support the system. What that means is that the logistics engineers who support that planning and analysis job or function, they work with the engineering groups and the operation groups to try and understand what are the spares requirements and what are the training requirements. And so that then what they do is they do the logistics support analysis on the systems, or heritage analysis if it's an older legacy system, to try and understand, okay, well, what is the spares from a materials perspective, what equipment could potentially be needed to do the operation on that system, and then also what is the certifications or qualifications that are needed by the personnel who are going to go perform that function. So they do all of the planning, all of the setting up all of the initial documents that are required to be able to do that function. And so that's one principal division, and then the other one is the logistics operations. And so the logistics operations is the tactical. That's where all of those plans and analysis that were developed initially are implemented. That's where the main, here at Kennedy Space Center for GSDO, the main function is done out of the logistics warehouse. That's sort of like the hub. And so what they do there is then when all of the spare parts are procured, they all go to that logistics warehouse, and then they're distributed out as needed or stored there until they're needed sometime in a future date. To launch the SLS rocket that's being developed by NASA, we have 3 programs that were developed to support that goal. One is the SLS program itself, which is developing the launch vehicle that's going to be used for that. Then there's the Orion program, which is developing the capsule that fits on top of the rocket. And then GSDO is the Ground Systems Development and Operations program, and they're encompassed with developing all of the ground support equipment that's being developed and is required to launch that rocket here at KSC. So what we do is we work with the engineers who are developing what's required from operations and what's required from development, and we work with them hand in hand to understand what is the requirements that are going to be needed by the technicians who are going to be doing those jobs, to make sure then that the curriculums we develop have all of the proper requirements, and then those curriculums will capture the processes and procedures that are necessary for that personnel to be properly trained to do their job.